So in Area D, as you know, we are excavating Byzantine period dwelling. So in this dwelling, so far we've talked mostly on the pottery vessels that were used in the houses for lighting, for storage, for cooking, and so forth. But we need to remember that in ancient times, cooking was not the only activity that was done within your house. Today, if you want to buy a t-shirt or a pair of trousers or socks, we just go online and make an order. If we want bread, we go to the grocery store and we buy bread. But in ancient times, some of these industries, some of these activities were done within the household, within our in the houses. And we find utilities, installations, or small finds that can tell us about the different activities that took place in those houses. So, for example, we have this basalt stone. I don't know who broke it, but he will have to pay. So we have three joining pieces of very heavy basalt sort of plate. And you can see that it is grooved. And this is actually the part of a millstone or a grinding stone. So we don't have, of course, basalt is a volcanic type of stone. We don't have any volcanoes in the area of Jerusalem. This was brought from far away, either from Transjordan or up in the Galilee. So it was brought from afar. And the reason why they wanted the basalt, this raw material for the grinding, to take barley or wheat and then use an upper stone to crush it and create flour or other types of powders, is because the basalt is very rough and coarse, and it's durable. It does not break easily. So it's a good type of stone to work with it to create, to do the grinding of different materials, especially barley and wheat. Another industry that was taken what was conducted in the houses is everything that is connected to textiles, to clothes. So today, most of us have a cupboard full of clothes that we don't need, and we constantly buy new clothes. But in ancient times, clothes were very, very expensive. So most people would have only one or two sets of clothes. And those clothes were made mainly from either linen or wool. And we know that in Jewish tradition, it was forbidden to mix linen and wool. And indeed, we find some ancient textiles, especially from the early Roman period at Masada and in refuge caves in the Judean desert, that show that the Jewish rebels or the Jewish refugees, they used clothes that were either made just from linen or just from wool. And this is unlike other regions where sometimes, for example, in Egypt, the tunic was made out of linen, but you have like these two stripes that go across your tunic and were colored. And since color is better preserved than wool, they would mix the wool for the coloring of the garment. Anyway, to create a cloth made of wool, that was, and also of linen, but the wool industry was more developed in our region. It takes a lot of work. It's a very long process. You need to shear the sheep, right? First to take the wool out of to cut the wool from the sheep, and then you need to clean the wool from the linoleum, from the fat of the sheep. You need to comb it. And then the next stage, and everything was done, or at least in some places, all of this process was done at home. And it was mostly the responsibility of the women, not just in Judaism. I mean, we have it in all Mediterranean ancient societies. We have both archaeological and historical evidence that this was part of the female responsibilities. So after you sheared the wool, you cleaned it, you combed it, then you need to make a thread out of it. And in order to create a thread, you need to spin it. You need to spin the wool to create a thread. And in order to do that, they created a spindle whorl and a spindle, I don't know, hook. So the hook was mostly made out of wood, so it does not preserve. But we have the weights. So this is how a spindle whorl or spindle installation looks like. So you have the weight that is connected down at the bottom of this hook, and you have the wool coming over through this hook, and then the weight causes this the spindle to spin. And when the wool goes through this hook, it spins around itself, and then we have the thread. So in area D, just below the lower Byzantine paving of the courtyard, two nice spindles were found made of stone. You can find them in many eras and made of different type of materials. They can be made of bone or out of pottery, but the ones are very nice, so you can pass it among you and have a look how it looks like. Then once you have the thread, what is the next stage? Weaving, right? We have the threads, we want to create the cloth, and then we need to use a loom, okay? So you would need to have like sort of a frame, wooden frame, and spread the threads over it, and then weave it to create a garment. And again, we don't have the threads, we don't have the wooden frame, but in order to keep the threads tight, there were weights that were tied up to the lower part of the threads. So sometimes we also find loom weights, and they are much bigger than the spindle whorls. That's it. Uzi, you want to add something about textile industry?
Yeah, maybe one word about the loom weights. So this technology of loom with weights on the bottom is from the earlier periods, meaning Bronze, Iron Age, Hellenistic, early Roman, and then they disappear. There's another technology where you have a lower beam, where you tie the threads, the downgoing threads to a beam, and an adjustable beam. So from that period, we don't have any loom weights. So in terms of our Mediterranean climate, an industry that was very visible up to the 1st century suddenly is invisible because the wooden remains obviously do not survive, and the threads do not survive. So if in the Hellenistic period, the early Roman period, we could say, okay, in this corner of the house, they used to produce their textiles, so that disappears. It's not that people stop producing, but the technology changed. So it's a good lesson for archaeologists that it's not only what the eye meets. Many times we know about entire industries that we just cannot trace them archaeologically.